Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer 3 video. Today we're going to talk about a possible rework to the diplomacy system, something that is very much needed in Total War Warhammer. Well, if I can be perfectly honest, I'd say the whole Total War series, barring that of Three Kingdoms, which does it very well. So in this video, I'd like to talk about ways that it could be made better. As with all our speculation videos, these are purely the thoughts of the Great Book and stuff that I found online that we've done some research onto, and we're not doing anything to swipe at Creative Assembly. But without further ado, let's begin. Total War has always been one of my favourite series of games. But like many other things in life, it is not perfect. Specifically, its diplomacy feature is extremely lacking. In most games at least, Three Kingdoms managed to fix that in that sense. However, whilst we could easily say just copy-paste the mechanics from Three Kingdoms into Total War Warhammer, there'd still be some issues that might shine through. But without diverting too much, let's talk about the current issues. Firstly, diplomacy seems to be more of a guessing game, without any actual indication of where you properly stand with other races and factions. Sure, you can get a more or less indication with the high standing and low standing, and obviously with the whole green, red and yellow icon system, but even then, when you're trying to get a faction with red or yellow into the green, you aren't really aware on how much it's going to take. And seeing the fact that the only way to sweeten the deal with them is either building up your relation with them, which could take many turns, or by shelling money at them, which can leave your coffers relatively empty and might cause you more problems than it's worth. Here's where I feel that they can take directly from Three Kingdoms. At the bottom of your diplomacy screen in Three Kingdoms, there's a little section dedicated to this which tells you how much in the positive or in the negative you are for the faction that you're in communication with to accept or deny the deal. It's just a small quality of life thing, but it would shave a lot of time on the diplomacy screen and more time in the battlefield. The same could also be said when you try to make a trade agreement. How it works right now is that when you try to make a trade agreement, all your special resources get offered and they have to offer theirs too. The Three Kingdom system works much better, where the more you offer you get more positives and the more that you take from them you get more negatives. Once again, it's a small quality of life thing to speed things up. To be perfectly honest, this is a Total War game. I'm expecting to be in the battlefield more, so I would rather spend as little time as possible on the diplomacy screen, especially when it comes to Warhammer. Moving swiftly on, region trading should definitely return. For an example, there might be a time that you might be invading a region with one of your allies. You've captured 2 of the 3 locations and they've captured 1. Unfortunately, since they hold 1 of the 3 cities, you are unable to get control of the full province and thus not get the benefit. So in events such as these, city trading makes a lot of sense. You could give them a decent amount of cash and they can fork out the city. Or vice versa in certain events where you realize that you're lacking cash and your ally has a decent amount in its coffers. But here's where we stop stealing from Three Kingdoms and we look towards other issues which are kinda annoying. Firstly, we'll look towards great power. So as you start playing and building up your empire, you'll notice that you'll gain a trait called great power. This is when the stronger that you become, the more other factions and races start to dislike you and eventually wage war against you, including not only your longtime allies but also your fellow kin. The best way to describe this is actually from a quote I found on Reddit recently, which goes as follows: "My great Lord Mazda Mundi, I have done as you have commanded and brought the Southlands under our sway. For the glory of the Old Ones and the Great Plan, let us show our common purpose and swear an oath of non-violence." Fuck you, Crockgar, you're too powerful, I hate you now. This has happened to me in many occurrences where I've built up a large empire, I've found a natural ally getting quite close, so I decided, well, I'll see if I can get a non-aggression pact, and for some reason they see me as a threat, only for them to decline and then randomly get invited to join a war against me by a faction which should be hated by them. By all means, the great power trait should stay there. Your enemies should be able to fear you and hate you more because you're getting stronger and stronger, but your potential allies, especially those of your kin, should more or less like you a bit more, I am imagining. Why would you want to wage war on your own kin when there are so many enemies who present to be a larger problem? While we're at it, certain factions should not be able to initiate diplomacy with others. For example, the Dwarves and the Skaven should never happen. No non-aggression pacts, no military alliance, no trade agreements, no nothing. I'm talking from experience here. I was just recently trying to play a Grimgore campaign before the upcoming Greenskin rework, and on turn 15 I believe it was, Karazakarak invited the Death Master to join a war against me. We already know certain factions, such as for example the Beastmen or the Warriors of Chaos, that can't make allegiances with the Empire, so it only makes sense to make this the case with, for example, the Skaven and the Dwarves, or the Dwarves and the Vampire Counts, and so on. While it can be argued that giving every faction different diplomacy limitations would be a lot of work, the Empire received such an update when they had their big overhaul, where now they can't declare war on their fellow Empire states unless a rebellion starts and so on. This is tied to their special mechanics. Now, I'm not saying give every race the same mechanic too, because at the end of the day, I do see, for example, certain High Elves betraying each other, Dark Elves and so on. But the biggest thing there is just seeing, for example, the Skaven allying up with the Dwarves. It makes no sense as a person who not only plays the tabletop and is a big fan of the lore, but it's just generally frustrating. Lastly, the general feel of alliances needs work. During one of your playthroughs, you might find this certain circumstance where two of your allies declare war on each other and you'll have to pick, where you'll have to either pick which side you want to choose, or decline them both and lose them both as allies. And in other certain circumstances, you might find yourself allying with a faction which randomly decides to declare war on the whole Warhammer world. Once again, you can either choose to side with this faction, or decline it. They'll then break the alliance, and then you just have to wait for them to declare war on you. This is another thing that Three Kingdoms fixes with the coalition system, which might work quite well here. Naturally, if it's lore-friendly, of course, and not just random races joining up a coalition. The system itself works really well, and if you haven't played Three Kingdoms, I really highly recommend trying it out just because of the diplomacy system. Don't worry, there's also other cool stuff here, but it's just the diplomacy overhaul is so massive, it's just so fun. But my main problem here is imagine that translated into Total War Warhammer, and next thing you know, you've got a coalition of Grimgor, Deathmaster Snitch, Vlad von Carstein, and then maybe 4 Grim Grudgebearer randomly. That would be absolutely terrifying. If they can figure out a way how to implement this without the previous scenario discussed happening, then I think this would actually fix a lot of problems. But these are our thoughts on the current diplomacy system and how we believe it could be fixed. But what do you guys think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below, we have various social media links such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team and talk to us about Total War Warhammer, or just anything in general. Also in the description section below, we have an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Purchasing from this link and also using our special code, which is also in the description below, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patrons Gibraltar LUSC and Ryan Bertsche for subscribing to us at our fame level. Honestly, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, the channel's been growing a lot lately and it's all thanks to you guys. We wouldn't be growing as fast as we were without you guys, so honestly, we can't thank you guys enough. But with that, my friends, thank you for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very soon. Have a good day.